Before you, well, why did it go another week, by the way?
Because there was a suggestion to date or, you know, take Wednesdays and Saturdays and see how that worked. And and I was, that's why, basically, and Nicole was considering going to therapy. But by the end of the week, it just didn't work.
So she was considering it.
Yeah, I told her that I thought she should try back to whoever she was going to before she came to ask me to come back in a relationship, because I thought she was as healthy as I had seen her during that period of time, and I didn't feel that she was too healthy at this time.
The conversation that you just described where you asked her to go to therapy was the conversation on Mother's Day in 1994, right?
That conversation was an extension to when I first got back from Cabo. That conversation, it wasn't a suggestion, it was a either or.
And the Mother's Day conversation?
Yeah.
And as of the end of Mother's Day, the decision was she wasn't going to therapy, and that was the end of the relationship.
I think it was either Mother's Day or once again the day after Mother's Day. I don't recall which night it was.
Now, the prior conversation with Nicole, the week before, was where?
At her house.
Okay. What was the day of that conversation?
Whatever the day after I got back from Cabo.
From Puerto Rico?
From Puerto Rico. Yeah.
You got back for Christian Reichardt's party, right?
I got back because we had to shoot in L.A.
No, but you went to the party, in other words.
Yes.
So that party was on April 30, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. And had you had the conversation with Nicole that you just mentioned before that party?
No, I think it was the next day.
Okay. And relate that conversation to me.
Nicole had some concern about why I wasn't loving, and my words to her was, I didn't think I can do this. I didn't know. When I was in Puerto Rico, Nicole was like having a nervous breakdown, and I couldn't understand why. I didn't understand what it was about, and I was explaining to her that, you know, all of this, calling me saying you're sorry. I went 3 weeks talking to you. I didn't know who I was talking to from day to day, and I can't do this.
When Nicole said when she was questioning you why you weren't
so
loving
loving
her, you mean at the party?
That's, you know, loving. I'm always been a very affectionate person. It was almost a culmination of the whole year. It was just that I just never fell back in love with her, even though I felt I was in love with her a couple of times. I never really felt back in love with her, and I thought it would, as I told you before, I thought before I went to Puerto Rico was the first time that I thought it would work. And while I was in Puerto Rico, I mean, her words was she was having a nervous breakdown.
Nicole, did Nicole describe to you when you came back to Los Angeles what her problems were while you were in Puerto Rico?
No, but evidently there was something was going on.
Did she tell you that whatever it was, she was over it?
Basically, she laid some of it off on Cora, and some of it off on Faye.
What did she lay off on Cora?
That something was going on with Cora and Ron Fishman. Ron had moved out. Faye was messing with drugs.
So her preoccupation with her problems was causing her a lot of stress in her life?
I don't know. That's
what
she told me, yes.
And did you find that a reasonable explanation for her behavior?
No.
Why not?
Why? Why should whatever was happening to these women affect the way her and I was with each other?
And you told her that?
Yes.
Now, during that week, when you got back and went to Reichardt's party and the Mother's Day, decision not to see her anymore, okay?
Yeah.
You had conversations with Faye Resnick on the phone, right?
Earlier in the, maybe, you know, I don't totally recall, but I knew I had spoken to Faye a few times because Faye, yeah, I spoke to Faye a few times.
Yes. Apart from expressing to Faye your concerns over Nicole, did you ever express or vent any anger about Nicole?
No, not any anger, not to the degree that you mentioned earlier, no.
Are you aware that Christian Reichardt told the LAPD or the district attorney's office, whoever interviewed him, that Faye told him, you told Faye you were going to kill Nicole?
I think I read that somewhere.
It doesn't matter.
You read that someplace?
I'm sure I did.
Did you ever talk to Christian Reichardt about his conversation with Faye Resnick to that effect?
No.
Did you know that he went on national television and said the same thing?
Don't answer that.
Well, do you know that he did so? Because my next question is going to be, did you talk about it?
You just ask him if he talked about it, and it's
This
irrelevant.
might jog his recollection.
It's irrelevant what he saw on television.
No, but it might refresh his recollection as to whether he talked with Reichard about it.
Did you
No.
talk to Reichard? You
No.
can answer that.
No.
No.
No. We have to do a tape change right here.
Why don't we do a lunch change?
Okay.
I gotta take a leak.
Over the lunch break, I refreshed my memory a bit on this Toscana incident, Mr. Simpson. Do you know a man named Alessandro?
Met him, yes.
And did you see him at Toscana's the evening you were there with Nicole?
Yes.
He walked into the restaurant and you spoke to him that evening?
No.
Did he walk up to the table?
No.
Did you have any words with him at all?
No.
Did you threaten him?
No.
Did you talk about him?
Nicole did.
What did she say to you about him?
Well, I think they were talking about the whole table. Her and one of the other girls was talking about something he had done at one of her parties.
That's the best you can recall?
Yeah, they were unhappy with him that he had done something at one of at some affair Nicole had at her house, and Nicole was very unhappy with it.
And you had no conflict with him that evening?
No.
Okay. Now, at the first or second session of this deposition, you mentioned an incident involving Nicole in January of 1994.
Yes.
What was that incident?
Nicole, they were leaving a bar, and I gather, I'm only saying what Nicole told me. At some point, Faye was serving her something, and when Nicole was leaning over to ingest it, she ran into the car in front of her.
Oh, in the car Nicole was driving,
Yes.
and Nicole leaned over to ingest some alcohol?
No.
Was it drugs?
Yes.
Cocaine?
Yes.
And she smashed into the car?
In front of her, yes.
And what car was Nicole driving?
Her Ferrari.
And was the car damaged?
Very bad.
How did you find out about this?
Nicole called me.
That evening?
I believe it was the next day. Within 24 hours, we talked. I asked her how she was doing, and she started crying. She thought she was going to get in trouble.
What happened to the car in front that it hit?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did you take care of this situation for her?
No. Her concern was they lied to the police, and she thought she'd get caught.
Oh, she switched seats with Faye?
No, when they got out and the police came, Nicole thought her license was suspended, and she said she had been drinking. And Faye said she could handle it, and Faye claimed she was driving. And Nicole thought that one of the people, when they left, would, I guess the police was talking to other people when they drove off, when they left with the tow truck. And Nicole thought one of these people would say that she was driving.
Did that ever happen?
I don't think so. Faye had some lawyer who evidently helped them out in these type of things, and Faye got this lawyer involved.
Did you have to pay for anything?
No.
Who paid for the repair of the
I don't know
car?
Nicole's business. I'm probably her insurance.
Okay, you gotta wait till he finishes a question.
Okay.
You ever aware of any tires on Cole's cars being slashed or cut?
No.
Ever hear about that?
No.
Do you know how much it cost on this property damage to the other car?
The other car, no. I know Nicole told me hers was.
He didn't ask you
no, I
anything
don't know.
about Nicole's car.
Okay, I don't know.
What
I didn't
about
get involved.
Nicole's
Other than saying I would have dinner with the lawyer, I didn't get involved.
And what about Nicole's car? How much was that?
I believe she told me in the neighborhood of $20,000.
And the insurance company paid for it?
I believe so, yes.
And the drugs were never disclosed to the police, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, no.
Faye said she had been drinking.
I don't know what she said, but Nicole talked constantly about how Faye was able to go through all the tests, and she said, I could have never done that.
Now, did you have any concern about this incident after it was related to you?
Yes,
And what was that?
I was real upset with Nicole. She didn't want anybody to know, and I was very upset with her.
What were you upset about? That she had taken cocaine?
It's just the whole thing. It just seemed as if things were happening that should not have been happening, and I was talking to her quite extensively during this period of time about drinking.
Did she, in your estimation, cut down on the drinking thereafter,
You mean,
after this incident?
okay, I know after, but for the whole period of time until
Yeah.
the murder?
Until her murder.
I don't think so, because I know it was a constant concern that I mentioned to the Browns, Lou and Judy, from time to time.
Even during your marriage, you mean?
No, all of this is after, after we had split.
And when you got back together in, let's say, May of '93, Mother's Day of '93, thereabouts, did you start noticing this excessive drinking?
Almost immediately.
Also drug use, too?
No.
Did you ever see Nicole during that period of time, May of '93, till you broke up in the following year, use cocaine?
No.
And did you know whether she was doing so other than this one incident in January of '94?
Other than what she told me.
And what was she telling you in this regard?
Well, the '93 October 911 call, that's essentially one of the major things that I had found out that things were going on, and that was essentially what I was yelling about.
But that wasn't about drug use by Nicole.
Yes,
In what sense?
in the sense that I was told that day about them all doing drugs at a place called the Monkey Bar.
Other than that October 25, '93 incident and the January car crash incident, did Nicole relate to you any other incidents of drug use by her?
No.
And you witnessed firsthand excessive drinking by her?
What I thought was, yes.
And you talked to her about it?
Well, I may have mentioned it to her. I did mention it to her a few times, but I didn't want to be getting on her, so I talked to other people in hopes that they would talk to her.
And the other people were Judy and Lou Brown?
And Faye Russell, for that matter.
When did you talk to the Browns about this?
I mentioned it numerous times. Watch how much she's drinking. Watch it. Count the drinks that she takes.
And you mentioned it to them more than one occasion?
Yes.
From May of '93 to May of '94?
I can't say exactly May to '93 to May of '94.
Well, that's the period of your reconciliation.
Yeah, within that time period. I don't know when it started or when it ended. I do know that in my last few conversations with Judy, it was my major focus on that and who she was running around with.
Okay, let me ask you, well, first of all, what was their reaction to the expressions of your concern about Nicole's excessive drinking?
Well, it was hard to have a reaction because you'd have to ask them what their reaction.
In other words, did they agree with you? Did they say, you're right, O.J., but I can't do anything about it? Or did they disagree with you? What did they say?
No, because I kept saying, watch her when we go out. I mean, I remember at Lou's, we gave a party for Lou one night at a restaurant, and I was saying, watch how much she drinks.
Okay. Now, you talked about some of the last conversations that you had with Judy. When did those occur?
The last?
Yeah.
Basically, with the concern was when I was in Puerto Rico.
And again, the concern was you didn't know why Nicole was acting strangely, right?
Nicole said she felt she was having a nervous breakdown, and she told me that, and then Judy and I had conversations, and Judy had concerns also when I was speaking to Judy.
Did you consider coming back from Puerto Rico
No,
to address the problem?
no,
Why not?
because I was working, and I was under contract, and Nicole was an adult.
Did you see if she could get some medical help?
I asked her to. I kept telling her I wanted her to go to therapy, and I mentioned about her drinking.
Did she say that one of the things that was stressing her out was you,
At that time, no.
her relationship with you?
At that time, no.
Later on, she tell you that?
No.
You said at that time. That suggested to me that some other time
Yes,
she told
when we
you?
split originally.
No, I'm now talking about April '94 when you were in Puerto Rico and she's telling you she's having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, I was just, from day to day, she was
There's
just,
no question.
Oh.
He's just telling you where his, directing your attention.
Exactly.
yeah.
And my question to you is whether in any of the conversations then or thereafter about her problem, this nervous breakdown problem, that there was any concern expressed by her that you were a cause of this,
No,
that it had something to do with you.
no, she couldn't pinpoint what it was, she said.
You mentioned Cora and you mentioned Faye and her concern with their problems. Does anything else come to mind?
Well,
That's-
anything else come to mind?
Well,
Could you be more
Well,
expansive?
he understands what I mean.
Well, no, don't answer that. That question is very overbroad.
What I'm trying to get you to tell me as expansively as possible is what she told you was the cause other than her concern over Cora and Faye, which you yourself indicated shouldn't have led to this kind of problem.
The problem was she couldn't say, she didn't know. And when I would say, what's wrong? She couldn't say, I don't know is what she'd say.
Did you say, is it me?
Numerous times. I know I was the easiest problem she had because if she didn't want to be with me, I didn't want to be with her, you know, so I wasn't a major problem.
But she said it was not you.
She didn't say it was that. She said it was just everything she didn't know, and that's when I constantly tried to get her to go to therapy again.
She didn't know. So as far as you know, then it might have concerned you, but she didn't know, right?
No, don't answer that.
In other words, she didn't rule out the possibility that it concerned you. Is that right?
She didn't know, so I don't know what she ruled in or out.
Okay, she didn't know. Did you suggest any modification in your relationship with her in order to alleviate the problem? This is in Puerto Rico.
No.
Okay. Now, going back to Judy, you last spoke to Judy when?
I don't know.
Not at the recital, beforehand.
I don't know. Beginning of May, I would say.
And you said the major focus was on Nicole's problems?
Yeah, on Nicole and that we were going our separate ways, and Nicole. What I thought she needed to get back to therapy and stop drinking, and stop running around with who she was running around with.
And what did Judy say to you?
Judy didn't like who she was running around with either.
You mean
but-
girlfriends?
Yeah,
Faye Resnick?
ask Judy.
Who did you mean?
I just meant everything. I didn't know who she was running around with. I didn't know really who she was running around with, so I didn't know. I just knew the whole scene wasn't a positive scene, and from what I can gather, it was the same scene that she was in when she came back to me and told me she hated what was going on in her life. So from what I was gathered, she was going to the same places and hanging around the same people.
Now, did Judy Brown tell you that she agreed or disagreed with what you were saying?
She agreed something was wrong because she had she couldn't get anything out of Nicole. I guess, yeah. Judy was concerned. You gotta ask Judy. Judy was concerned.
Did Judy tell you that she also was trying to find out from Nicole what the problem was?
She said she wouldn't talk. I think Nicole hung up on her at one time, and Judy, at one point, while I was in Puerto Rico, the last week I was in Puerto Rico, made a comment to the effect that she had spoken to Nicole one day, and the next day, Nicole was attributing things to Judy that Judy hadn't said the day before. Something in that vein.
Did there come a time when you perceived that Nicole stopped acting in this sort of irrational way you're describing?
You got to ask that again. I don't quite understand it.
From the time that you first started experiencing these problems with her behavior while you were in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
beginning with that time, did there come a time when you saw that there had been improvement and that she had stopped exhibiting these problems?
From the time I got home, everything seemed, even before I came home, she called, we talked, and she apologized for the way she was acting. She picked me up at the airport. She seemed totally normal. The following Sunday, which was the night before Mother's Day, she, in front of me, almost had a nervous breakdown. She was look at me, she was saying. And that was when I basically said this is not going to work.
And from that point on, did you observe that her behavior, whether it was
I didn't see it.
problematic or whether she...
I saw her that week at dinner once or twice. I talked to her because now we weren't together, so I could talk to her more fully about it. And I talked to her a lot about it the following week when she called me when she had double pneumonia, and I used that as a see, see, I told you so. Whatever you're doing, you got to stop doing.
And from that point on, she seemed okay to you?
I didn't see her much from that point on, and until she called me, and later in the month, yelling at me. She seemed like Nicole. The times that I saw her.
Seemed like she, in other words, she was okay.
Yeah, she was okay. Yeah.
Now, tell me about this incident then. You mentioned it on your videotape when Nicole called you and was very upset with you because Faye Resnick was going to an affair. What was the affair?
It was going to be the Cedars child, you know, it's a big affair that they have at Cedars Hospital, raise money for birth defects. I was one of the, you know, founders of it, and I was a guy who was in charge of getting all the athletes at its inception, and we may have been going into the 8th, 9th, 10th year. And so that was the affair.
And describe the argument you had with Nicole.
It wasn't really an argument. She called me and just started yelling at me.
For no reason?
I felt for no reason.
What'd she say?
To stay away from her effing friends. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, you invited Faye and Christian to this thing, and I don't want you hanging around my friends. And I said, I didn't invite Faye anywhere. Faye invited herself. And she says, but I don't want you hanging around my friends. And I think I said to her, what are you talking about? I never told you who to hang around. What do you, and I may have made I don't know what I said. But in any event, she hung up. And then I called Christian and Faye.
Did you go to the event?
I was in jail.
Oh, this was an event scheduled for later in June?
Yeah.
And you
June, maybe the first,
had you made plans with Rick, Christian, and Faye?
I had invited, see, the previous year.
Go ahead. You know.
No, I had made plans with Christian, and Faye wanted to know why she wasn't invited, and gave a good reason why she wanted to go. And I said, well, sure, I don't have a problem with it.
What was the reason?
That we don't take sides. We love you, we love Nicole. I want to get to know Paula. I want to get to know whoever Nicole goes out with. When our friends split up, we don't take sides, which has always been my attitude. That was what she said to me.
And you had no problem with that, right?
No, I mean, I didn't invite her or Cora because I was going to be with Paula.
So the way you left it then...
it was fine.
It was fine. You were going to go with Paula, Christian, and Faye, and was Cora going with Ron Fishman?
No, Ron and his son was gone, and I had to fill up my table. It's a table of 12.
But Nicole wasn't included, right?
Nicole and I wasn't dating. No, I was dating Paul.
What's the date of this conversation with Nicole?
I don't know. It was after the 22nd, but I believe before the end of the month. So it was sometime in the latter part of May.
Just the last argument you had with her?
I believe it was, yeah, it was the last, other than tickets and stuff. It was the last, yeah.
Did you call her back?
I don't think it was I tried to call her back, but she had her phone off the hook, and I left a message for her.
Where?
The next day.
Oh, on her machine?
Yes.
What was your message?
Told her I thought she was totally out of line. I told her that I said we split up, we went our separate ways. I was there for you when you were sick. I thought everything was going good. You are totally out of line for what you did. You need to talk to your friend, Faye. And I said, you need to look at your own actions. When you and I were split before, you went a little further than just inviting my friends out. And that was it.
You mean she had romantic relations with your friends?
Yes.
Did she ever respond to that message, Mr. Simpson?
No.
Okay. Now, you testified earlier on in the deposition that you had a dinner with her and Sydney and Justin at Bundy around the 24th of May.
Yeah.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
Was this argument with Nicole before or after the
After.
dinner? It was after?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after you took care of Nicole when she had the, was it double pneumonia?
Yeah.
Was there some still hope in your mind that maybe things would work out?
No.
You were just doing it to get her better, right?
And yeah.
Weren't you delivering roses to the house?
On her birthday, I might have, but I don't think so. I think I brought her a cake and a cigarette lighter.
Did you have any flowers sent to the house?
I did on the, I may have on the 27th, so it would have been a little after the 20, I may have, oh, no, I may have on the 24th or the 27th, I may have.
For what purpose?
That was what I and her always, no, I didn't. That would have been the next month I was going to do that. So I don't think I did.
What was the
Unless
purpose
Sydney
that
was
you...
graduating.
Excuse
Unless Sydney was graduating or something, yeah.
What was the purpose for which you would exchange flowers that time of year?
That's when we first met, and it would have been June 27th. I brought flowers to her when she had pneumonia. I know that.
Once?
I believe so, but, you know,
Was there any expression by you to her that you wanted to get back together?
no.
Okay.
The minute I started dating Paula, that was that.
When you saw her at the airport that
Yeah.
night? And did you give Nicole any gifts during the month of May other than the cigarette lighter and the bracelet?
No,
You brought her no gifts?
no.
When Nicole returned the bracelet, she also returned some earrings.
No, I asked for the earrings
Why'd you ask for them back?
because she kept the check,
What check?
the insurance check.
Why was there an insurance check?
Because she somehow lost these earrings that I had made for her before. And when the insurance check came, I signed it and we sent it to her, and we were replacing the earrings. And evidently when the guy delivered the earrings to her, she never gave him the money, and for some reason my office, when the guy billed my office, they sent a check. So she couldn't keep the earrings and the check.
How much was the check?
I think the check was a little less than what the earrings cost. So the check may have been $7,500, $8,000.
How did you get the earrings back?
I asked for them.
Did you pick them up in person?
Well, we were discussing some things at her house, and it was when she brought up the fact that she didn't think I bought this bracelet for her.
How'd she figure that out?
Because it didn't go with anything I've ever bought her, and it just was kind of out of the blue. And during that conversation, she mentioned how she's gotten used to the TV in the bedroom. She wasn't a big person on that, and wanted to know could she keep the TV I had bought for me in the bedroom that had the earphones on it, because I watched TV throughout the night, and a few other items. And that's well, since we're making up, you owe me X amount of dollars. And she didn't have it, and she gave me the earrings. She said, well, you have to take the earrings because I don't have the money.
Do you know why she didn't have the money?
I don't know. I know she was having some, at that particular time, she had loaned some family, from what she said, she had loaned some family members some money. And I don't know. Outside of that, I don't know.
How much had she loaned?
I don't know. I thought she said 10,000 or something too.
To whom?
I believe she said Lou.
So she said she was short on money?
She didn't say that. She was just, I know money was came up in the conversation because she didn't have the money to pay me, to give me the money back for the check.
Okay. Now, did she give you the earrings back the same time she gave you the bracelet back?
Yes.
And was that on this 24th when you were over there for dinner?
Yeah, I believe it may have been earlier than that. It may have been the 20. It may have been on the 22nd. It may. I believe it was like on. Whenever I got, I think it was. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I think it was like on the 22nd. I think it was the night of the picnic at my house. But it could have been a day after that or something, because I
Was
don't
she
believe-
upset with you when she returned the bracelet and the
No,
earrings?
she was up. She had bothered her because she really, really loved the earrings. So that bothered her, but I was going to give them back to her anyway. So
You were planning to give them back?
yes,
At what point?
the next month when our anniversary had come.
Why didn't you let her keep them at the time?
Well, because then I wouldn't have to buy her anything at our anniversary.
Did you buy her a present for your anniversary in 1992 when you were split up in June and you had already met Paula?
I think I sent her flowers for sure. And I think I'm sure I sent her something. I'm not what, something, maybe a Swiss Army watch or something. But I know I sent her something. I know that specifically.
Were you embarrassed or shamed at all about the breakup of your relationship again?
Shamed and
Yeah.
embarrassed? No, you know what it was? It was a relief. Because I felt I was working too hard.
At the relationship?
Yes, yes.
Oh, so you felt no sense of public embarrassment,
Not at all.
humiliation,
No.
shame?
No, that's why I think I was happy. I was happy to move on.
And were you?
And I was proud of the fact that we seemed to be getting along, but despite it. You know, anyone who saw us together in those next 2 weeks at least, almost 3 weeks, saw two people who really got along. And even though they had split, really got along.
Did you tell any of your close friends that you were going to break up with Nicole at or around the time that you did?
No, but all of my close friends knew I had.
They did?
Yeah.
After the fact, you mean?
Yeah.
You mean you told them that you had broken up with Nicole?
Yeah, I told them it was, because they saw Paula.
Did you tell them that you had left her or she had left you?
And then we split up, you know.
Did you tell them the circumstances?
No, it was none of their business.
Did you tell them the reasons?
I think some of my close friends knew already because
Who would they be?
Alan Olsen would have known because I'm sure I talked about it with Alan Olsen.
Anyone else?
I don't know. It's not something, my close friends are, it's not something you talk about. You play golf, but on a golf course, everybody talks about whatever they talk about.
Did you tell them Cowlings this too?
You got to understand, I didn't see a lot of AC, but possibly. Kathy Randa for sure. Arnell for sure. But it was somewhat abrupt.
OJ, you don't owe him an explanation.
Okay.
Just answer his questions.
The breakup was abrupt, that's what you're saying. Right?
Somewhat, yeah.
By the time of Nicole's death, did all of your close friends and family know that you had split up with her?
Yes.
You had already told your mother and your sisters?
I don't know if I specifically called them to say it. I don't know if I ever thought of that, but anybody around me knew, yes.
Did you know whether Nicole ever did see a therapist?
I don't believe so.
She told you she wouldn't, right?
She didn't want to. She thought it was a waste of time.
Okay. You know if she saw a therapist named Jennifer Ameli?
No.
Ameli.
No.
You ever hear of her? Ameli.
Last night.
How'd you hear about her last night?
I think Geraldo. Somebody told me some girl was on Geraldo saying something.
Is that the first time you've heard that name?
Yeah.
You ever go to Jennifer Ameli's office on any occasion?
Not to see Jennifer Amelie, no. I wouldn't know where her office is.
Did you ever confront Nicole in late May or early June before her death and in front of her therapist's office?
I didn't know she had a therapist.
In front of an office building?
No.
Did you ever confront her and another gentleman with her in her Ferrari in late May, early June?
I never saw her with another gentleman in a Ferrari then.
Or any other vehicle?
No, never.
Did you ever stop to talk to Nicole in late May, early June before her death while she was in her car?
No.
Did you ever call her over while she was in her car?
No.
Did you ever confront her in a parking lot anywhere?
No.
Do you think this Jennifer Ameli's a fraud?
Don't answer that.
Do you have any knowledge of that?
I don't know.
Don't answer that.
Was Nicole afraid of you?
I don't believe so, no.
Did Nicole ever tell you that she was afraid of you?
No.
Did Nicole ever tell you that she had fear of you?
What's the difference? Don't answer that. You answered the question already.
You know, it's not appropriate to instruct him just because I asked him a second question that may be similar or the same as the first question.
You know, I've never read Petrocelli on evidence or deposition objection.
Probably never will either, Mr. Baker.
I bet it's the shortest book I could ever read, too.
It's only shorter than yours.
You sound like Marcia Clark.
Now, I'm not going to say anything about that. I don't want my comments to be misconstrued either way. Anyway, she ever tell you that she was afraid of you?
No.
Did you ever discuss that subject with her?
No.
Did you ever sense that she was afraid of you?
No.
Did you ever sense that she felt terror as a result of
No.
your conduct?
No.
Not even in the 911 call on October 25 when you heard her voice?
I didn't hear her voice. I didn't know she was on the phone with
You
the
heard it in court, though, right?
Yeah.
And did you sense terror in her voice?
If I was on the other end of that line, it would have sounded that way to me, yes.
Did that surprise you when you heard that?
In light of the fact that she left the room and came down with me to be in the room with me, yes, because I knew she wasn't afraid.
Why do you suppose she expressed terror in her voice if she wasn't afraid?
You want me to speculate?
I want you to tell me what you think, yes.
Well, I think his state of mind is irrelevant relative to that issue.
I don't think so. We'll let the trial judge decide. You may
We will
answer.
when you make the motion. Don't answer it.
What was my question? Yeah, I'd like to know if you have any understanding as to why she expressed terror in that phone call. If you
Don't
be-
answer it.
If you believe she didn't have any.
His opinions and
Well, he might
asking him
have.
to speculate.
He may have a current understanding that's not based on speculation. It's based on some information.
No, he's not going to answer that question. You're not going to argue the case through your argumentative question.
Do you think that she was trying to trick the person that she called?
Don't answer that.
You know if Nicole kept any diary in May or June of '94?
Not that I know of.
Antibiotics are not kicking in yet. Not yet.
Let the record reflect that for about the fourth time, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Petrocelli are whispering to each other.
I think it's the first time, Mr. Baker.
First time after lunch, I would agree with that.
In the words of Phil Baker, you don't have to give him an explanation.
Mr. Keller, you've never provided us with those documents, have you? And I believe those were subject to special interrogatories, were they not?
I don't think so, but I will check.
You never provide us with anything. No responses.
Nor have you.
I've provided you with a lot of objections,
Only-
the same as you provided me with.
Only objections.
That's all you've ever provided me with. But a lot of them, I admit that.
Okay. Did you want to say something to me, John?
I dare not, especially the mic here. Mr. Baker will be all over me.
Not at all.
Are these her supposed letters or her supposed diary?
Oh, we'll find out what they are.
Well, if we're being denied access to these diaries because of failure to respond to discovery, I don't think it's proper.
These are documents that you have. You got them from the same place that I have them, okay?
Where is that?
The murder book.
And what are they?
They're documents in the murder book, that's
So you
all.
won't describe them, you tell me I have them.
I'm not going to debate this now. We're trying to ask some questions. You still haven't responded to my numerous requests to have Mr. Simpson produce documents here.
No, I haven't gotten responses from your side either, Mr. Petrocelli.
Mr. Simpson, did you speak to Nicole on June 3, 1994? You recall?
I don't recall.
Do you recall coming to pick up the kids at Bundy around 8:30 in the evening?
Yes.
And the children wanted to stay with Nicole because she had let them organize sleepovers at the last minute.
I don't know what the children wanted. Nicole just told me that she had just organized something for the kids.
Did she tell you that she would drop them off first thing in the morning?
She might have.
If you don't recall, tell me you
I
don't
don't recall. I don't recall.
Well, you went there to pick up the kids. Did you leave with the kids?
No.
And then you went home, right?
Yes.
Did you get the kids the next day?
At some point, yes.
Okay. How'd you get them?
I don't recall.
Now, the evening before, had you had an argument with Nicole?
No.
Is that the night that she called you about going out with her friends? June 2.
What do you mean going out with her friends?
You remember before you told me about a conversation where she was upset with you because
No,
you were going out with Faye Resnick and
No, this
Christian
is
Reich.
before then.
Excuse me?
This is before then.
The Christian Reichart, Faye Resnick situation occurred later. How'd you say?
Before this.
Before June 3.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now, did you hang up? Did she hang up on you on the evening of June 2?
I don't recall talking to her on June 2.
Anywhere near June 2, she hang up on you?
I don't believe I talked to her. I think I had cut off communications before then.
Did you say to her when you came to see her on June 3 at 8:30 p.m. to pick up the kids, you hung up on me last night? Did you say that to her?
No.
You're going to pay for this bitch.
No.
You're holding money from the IRS.
No.
You're going to jail, you fucking cunt.
No.
You think you can do any freaking thing or something like that you want.
No.
You've got it coming.
No.
I've already talked to my lawyers about this bitch. Did you say any of those things to her?
No.
They'll get you for tax evasion, bitch. I'll see to it.
No.
You're not going to have a fucking dime left, bitch.
No.
Said none of those things?
None of those things.
Do you know whether Sydney has had a girlfriend with her at the house when you went over to pick up the children?
I believe a family had just arrived.
Okay. And do you remember the name of Sydney's friend?
No.
Do you know the names of any of her friends around this time?
Yeah. Or the normal friends. No.
What about Allegra? Does that ring a bell?
No. But I do know for the period of time I was there, they were all just outside walking in.
When you were leaving?
Yeah, when I drove up and when I left.
They were outside the whole time?
Yeah, they were walking in, and she said, a friend's here.
Did you meet the friend's parents?
No.
The next day, do you know whether Nicole came over to return the children to you, but you were not home? Did you learn about that?
I don't know.
Return the children to him? I don't
Bring
know
the
that.
children to you.
I don't know.
Do you recall whether on the weekend before June 3, around May 28, 1994, you told Nicole that you could not take the kids that weekend?
Possibly. I don't.
If you don't recall,
I don't know.
Did you tell Nicole that even though you were in town over the weekend?
I don't think I was in town that weekend.
On May 22, did Nicole tell you that she was officially splitting up with you?
No, we'd already split up.
Did she tell you on May 22, which is a Sunday, that you and she were going back to every other weekend?
No, I don't recall that at all.
Did she say that she needed rest and that you were gone too much?
On 22, no, I think she was more into me. But I was not amenable.
Were you gone the last 4 weekends prior to May 22? Out of town, that is?
I may have been. I hosted, no, I'm not, I got
Is
to
that a
look at my
calendar,
calendar.
Mr. Baker?
Yeah, it's a calendar.
Well, I could
can
have been
check it out if
because,
you want.
I'd like to.
See, it says May 1994. You can put up any
That's
dates you want on there.
Pretty good.
does it say that?
Hey, my respect for you is growing by the minute.
Are there
I'm impressed.
answers on that?
I'm typing them
He
in.
types them.
The question is, it would
Says,
be,
don't answer that.
it would be difficult because 2 of those 4 weekends, it would be difficult to be away those previous 4 weekends because 2 of those 4 weekends I spent with Nicole and the kids. One of those 4 weekends, 2 weekends before that, I spent with Lou Brown, Nicole and the kids. And the weekend before that was the weekend I returned from Puerto Rico, and I spent with Nicole and the kids. So it couldn't have been. That's impossible.
Well, let me hand you out a document and ask if you know anything about it.
What am I supposed to?
Let me mark this at Exhibit 86.
Okay. So the answer
There's
is
no-
no. I wasn't out of town the 4 previous weekends unless you count being in Laguna with Nicole and the kids out of town. One of those weekends.
Okay. Can you mark that as the next exhibit in order? What you doing?
What is this?
86.
This is May.
That's May of 94.
I was home this Sunday. And then again this Saturday.
Mr.
22nd.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Simpson, you recognize this handwriting on Exhibit 86?
Not really, but not really.
Does it appear to be Nicole's handwriting?
I don't really recognize it to be, but it could be.
Could you turn the pages?
To a page.
Just flip the pages and see if you believe this is in Nicole's handwriting.
It looks a lot like her handwriting, yes.
Okay. Now, do you know whether she was keeping notes of events in her life
No,
during this period of time?
no,
May of 94?
no.
Do you know why she would write down the things that I just read to you on a piece of paper?
Inaccurately, no.
Yeah. Why she would write them down if they were false?
Whether, obviously, when you mention those 4 weekends out of town, that's false, so I have no idea.
But all the other things that I read to you were false also, right?
Yes,
All of the vile things that she attributed to you.
yes.
And do you have any understanding as to why Nicole Brown, in or about June 3 of 1994, would be writing down such things about you that were untrue?
I have no idea.
Did you ever know her to do something like that in the past?
I knew she would say things because, as I mentioned, Judy and I had that conversation before I left Puerto Rico that were not true. I wasn't aware of any of her writings at that time.
What do you mean Judy and I had that conversation before I left Puerto Rico that were not true? I didn't follow your last answer.
As I said to you earlier, Judy made a comment in 1 week when I was in Puerto Rico that she had spoke to Nicole one day, and OJ, the next day she spoke to her, Nicole attributed things to Judy that Judy had not said in the previous conversation the day before.
I see. Did you know Nicole to have a very vivid imagination?
And she was great with the kids, so yeah, she was good. She was good at making up games and, you know, writing stories with the kids. So yeah, she was pretty good at that.
Had she ever, to your knowledge, made up things about you in the past?
Yes,
You mentioned earlier in your deposition that she did so in connection with a divorce proceeding to get you to tear up the prenuptial, right?
that's correct.
Though you also said you didn't see anything that she wrote. She just
No.
told you that they had told her to say things, right?
Yes.
But other than that incident, did you know her to make up things about you that were not true?
In what context? I don't.
In any context.
In any kind.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
When?
Often when you have an argument and the next time you talk, she'd say, "You said this," and I said, "That's not what I said." You said this. I mean, you know, like most relationships, I would imagine.
But you would do the same thing, right?
She would say the same thing to me that I would say to her.
Right. So in other words, you didn't view that as unusual or abnormal, did you?
No.
Okay. But in terms of what I just showed you, you would view that as highly unusual, right?
Well, you don't have to characterize it any way you want. And,
Yeah. Do you think that is this ordinary behavior for Nicole as you know her? For 17 years to write things like this about you of this nature that are completely false?
All her actions were unusual and not like the Nicole I knew in the last few years of her life. Many of them were, and that's why I had a concern, and I expressed those concerns to both Judy Brown and Lou Brown.
Well, the only thing you've said so far that you expressed to Judy and Lou Brown were drinking.
Yes.
What did you express anything else to them about her highly unusual behavior over the last couple of years of her life?
Yes, the choice of people that she ran around with, some of the things that transpired during that period of time, yes, I expressed my concerns about those things.